I wore this especially for you today. I thought you'd be wearing a pinstripe, you see, but you're casual today. But there
Yeah,
you
that's
go.
for work.
Okay, that's for work.
Pinstripe is for work.
Okay,
Barristers and me.
right. Okay, never the twain shall meet.
Well, I've met a few of them
I
this
can
year.
imagine.
Don't you worry about that.
It's John Leslie live from the Library Bar in the marvellous Bristol Square for the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. It's the 77th Edinburgh Festival Fringe, and joining me all week have been some fantastic guests and some famous guests and infamous guests, and none more so than my present guest, Jim Davidson.
Am I famous or infamous, John?
Well, I was going to ask you that question.
Infamous last year, famous now, nearly quite famous.
Right. Where do we start, really? I mean,
Well,
at the beginning.
What am I doing here in Edinburgh? That's what we start
Yes,
with.
because it's your first Fringe, isn't it?
Yeah, I played the Playhouse about 8 years ago and did a DVD while the Fringe was on. I wanted to do something here, but they said, no, you're too famous. But they've let me in now. That gives you some idea. Yeah, it's a bit behind enemy lines for me. They all look. I've just driven past here, and the two of my posters are there. Someone scribbled Tory over each of them. So I was going to go back and sign underneath. Quite right, too.
Your Scottish father, though?
Yeah, Glaswegian father.
Yes.
I was born in Woolwich. He was in the army. And so my other brothers, my two other brothers, were born in Wales. I had a sister born in India, so there's a little diaspora
mix.
Jocks all over the place.
Makes it more interesting.
But I suppose it doesn't make us Welsh, English, and Indian. It makes us having a Scottish father, British. I guess.
Yes, British. We can't mention the referendum really at the moment.
No. Well, it's nothing to do with me anyway. I'll just go with whatever's they do. I can't spell X.
Your new show.
Yeah.
Well, where do we start with it? Did it start when you came off the plane? Where was the first when it first hit you? Where were you at that point? Because there's been conflicting reports about when they came to get you on the plane, coming off the plane.
Let me start. Yes, the Operation U Tree. But they had reporters hanging around my house for about a month before, so I legged
kind
it.
of knew.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't quite know what they wanted, and they didn't know really either. They just thought I'm going to be arrested for Operation U Tree. I paid no attention because I thought Operation U Tree was set up for paedophiles and nasties and whatever, and that never been my game. So while they were there being a nuisance, my wife and I and our two dogs went up to our house in Glasgow, stayed there for a month, and then they all sort of went away. And in the meantime, I was contacted by Richard Desmond, who owns Channel 5, to go and do Big Brother, and he made all types of promises and made it very difficult for me to say no. And I thought, well, what's to lose? So I flew down from Glasgow. I got my bag off the carousel to put it in the Big Brother trolley to go to the car, and I got a phone call from a policeman who said, my name is DC whatever, Plod, and I'm from Operation U Tree. I bet you've been expecting us. And I said, no, I haven't actually. Then he asked me where I was. I said, you're a good detective, aren't you? And it went downhill from there. So I went off and got myself arrested for sexual assault of these two women I've never heard of. Spent 3 or 4 weeks collecting statements, my lawyer and I and my QC, to present to the police and the CPS to prevent me being charged. The lawyer said that could be a bit dodgy because they could go back and tell the complainants that their story was wrong and to make a new story. And to find out whether that actually happened, you have to buy the book for that one, John.
Okay.
But
I'll come and see the...
Yeah, well, I don't actually mention it there either, actually. Not for 15 quid a ticket when the book's 18.
Ever the businessman.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then we presented all these things to the police, and I went back to answer bail thinking they'll drop it, and they found another 7. Some quite serious and some rather trivial, and to an extent, or if any alleged allegations of sexual assault is trivial, I don't know. But we went and got a load of more statements, and after a year, they said there'll be no further action.
Right. So it's known in the business, I suppose, as a game changer. Your whole world kind of caved in,
horrible.
I suppose.
Yeah. Every time my mind went into neutral, I was thinking about how do I find out evidence about this. I turned into a detective. I spent more time going through people's Facebooks and Twitters and things to try and find out what was happening. So we got all the evidence, not the police. The police were very good. They were good to me.
Right, okay.
Yeah, they were fair. They were fine. There was a lot of rolling of the eyes, thinking, oh, where's the pendulum gone too far
Good
back
cop,
from
bad
doing
cop.
nothing for Jimmy Savile to arresting me. And I think to an extent I was the straw that broke the camel's back. None of mine was to do with underage sex. And they sort of looked at me as if to say, why have we nicked you, Jim?
Right.
There was a bit of that. And they were very good, very thorough. And
So you were never really in a
but
dark
it cost me a
place.
fortune. I was quite dark because
Right.
even though I looked at the evidence thinking this is well flaky, this is the last 2
A lot
minutes
of
in
innocent
court.
men in jail, though.
Exactly. And also demons in the air. Had they made their minds up already and they were taking scalps because of the Jimmy Savile fiasco? I don't think my policeman felt like that. I think there were orders from above, though, and someone did mention we've got to treat these allegations as the absolute truth until we find proof that they're not true. Well, I thought that was the other way round it's supposed to be. But it wasn't very nice. And in the end, they just said no further action. Marvellous.
Which brings us nicely to
yeah,
why
and then I actually went back in the Big Brother house 1 year late. I went in.
I mean, that was another game changer because although getting arrested was obviously the worst thing in the world, but
that wasn't the worst thing in the world. Linda Nolan was the worst thing in the world. Actually, no, she wasn't. But we did conflict a bit because Linda was all right.
Okay, but
a lot. We conflicted a lot.
Big Brother coming the next year after.
She hated Scottish people. That was what it was.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah,
okay.
Just I'm saying that to get you on my side now, listeners.
I know her sister rather well.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, of course. Right, move on.
Big Brother, not in that way.
No.
Big Brother being a year later.
Yeah.
Was and being the show it was that particular year was the best thing I think could have come along for you.
Well, the way
it's a game changer in a positive way.
Yeah, it was. Do you know what? My old mate Goose, who I feature in the book quite a bit, is an ex-Special Forces soldier. He kept saying to me, "This will be the making of you because you're truthful." And all the public have got to do is see the real you, and they'll realise that you're a truthful man. So that was my game plan on Big Brother. Not to do any jokes, not to be anything apart from
straight
myself.
And solid.
Yeah, if I wanted to be miserable, be miserable. If I wanted to drink, have a drink. And that was what I did, and I won against all odds, and really got right up the noses of most of the people that are here performing. You know, how dare he win that? You know, conservative voting,
lot
5
snobbery,
times
darling,
married.
a lot of snobbery.
There is a lot of snobbery, isn't there? Really, I suppose because I never went to university, innit? Never went there, did I? I'm from South East London.
So the one-man show, No Further Action, is about the moment you were nicked.
Yeah.
To where you are now.
And to where I'm now, yeah.
Right.
It starts up, I talk about being Scottish with this funny accent, and then I talk about being arrested. And there's always humour in everything, because you need humour to get you through it. When they slammed that cell door on me, I was sitting there thinking, what on earth am I going to do? I'm supposed to be in the Big Brother house. Then a year later, I was in the Big Brother house thinking to myself, well, that cell weren't that bad, really, in comparison, you know. But the thing was, it's a difficult thing to do, to go and tell an audience about it and not look as if you're treating it as trivia. Yeah, and or being victorious. I just wanted to tell the story because all through the accusations I was on stage doing my show, and it seemed strange not to mention the elephant in the room, so I spoke about it. I took it very seriously, and I was frightened to death because I thought there were demons in the air. And old Goose said, you just tell the truth and let Dan Brown deal with the demons.
Right.
All that do.
I wish I had a guy like that, actually.
Yeah. Well, he is for hire. Gun for hire.
Because, I mean, a similar thing happened to me, obviously, but I don't think I could have ever...
It's horrible, isn't it?
Well, it's the worst thing in the world ever.
It is,
and to recover from that is also as hard as it happening to you as well.
I
but
think
you did the good thing. I mean, I suppose it's kind of a therapy.
Well,
it's a way of getting it out.
Yeah, it is to an extent. And I'm speaking to. I'm in the. Me and Simon Weston and another guy are forming this new charity. I won't tell you about it now, but it deals with mental health and everything. And it's about 3 months away from launching. And some of the people we were interviewing and speaking to, a regimental sergeant major from the Marines actually said, "You will be scarred by this, Jim. You don't think you are, but that is a hell of a thing you've gone through. You had 10 months of intense pain." And wondering what's going to happen. You weren't in control of your own life, and that will affect you. Oh,
that's a good point to leave at the moment. We're going to take a little break.
That cheery note.
A cheery note. The other side of Jim Davidson coming up after the break.
Can you hear any of this?
No, you can't hear it. Okay. Well, just what? So.
How much do I weigh? 5.5 stone, that's not bad. Back
with Jim Davidson live from the library room.
Yeah.
No, proper setup, okay. It's the 77th Edinburgh Fringe Festival, world famous, and we have world stars popping in to see me live in the library bar in the TV Row House in Bristol Square. Jim Davidson is still with me. You've not gone off yet. I'm glad you're still here.
No, I've not gone off. No, I'll stay here as long as you want me to,
You enjoying your time here?
No. Yeah, No, I am. I'm doing okay. I'm up for parole on the 24th.
Okay. You can laugh about it now, can't you?
I can, but you know, I came up here and I knew that the broadsheet critics would have a go. They wrote it before they came and see me. But the interesting
Good
thing
copy,
is now
mate.
that but there's a backlash. They're now writing reviews about their reviews, saying, "Well, haven't seen other shows, and people said I was a bit harsh to Jim Davidson. Maybe so. It's bizarre. There's lots of things going on.
Have you found a whole new audience now? A younger audience? More?
Well, Big Brother's brought me an audience that doesn't have any baggage. They don't say there's that right-wing nasty Tory. There's all that stuff, you know.
Right.
Up here, it's like being in the Marxist headquarters, isn't it, really? And there is me. But I think you win people over with comedy and let them actually see, again, like Big Brother, let them see the real me. Look, I'm not the bloke that tells the jokes that they think I do. I push it to the limits, and I'm different to... I don't think I'm an old-school comic. I'm an old comic that just
changes
doesn't...
with the time.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I think so, yeah.
What I read about you, I found a little upsetting. I didn't realise you were so upset at the time, but because of what you're going through, you weren't allowed to go to Margaret Thatcher's funeral.
Yeah, I'm still trying to find out who actually did that. I've got my sights on 10 Downing Street at the
Okay.
moment, yes.
Because you were close to Margaret Thatcher.
Well, she was the patron of the British Forces Foundation, which I formed, and then I had to go and fire her because the Prince of Wales had shown an interest to be the patron. He didn't know we had Margaret Thatcher, so I spoke to all these trustees I had, Sir Rex Hunt, Governor of the Falklands, and generals and, you know, and admirals, and they say, you go and speak to Lady Thatcher, Jim, she likes you.
Right.
So I had to go and say, I'm sorry, but the Prince of Wales wants to be our patron. And instantly she said, oh, good, that's good, I'll be president. Well, we never thought of that. She got it instantly.
Typical
And so I
Thatcher.
used to go and see her. And I saw her get older and eventually, you know, pass away. It was a strange thing to see a powerful woman, and I had nothing to do with politics here. It was just a powerful woman
You become
who was
friends.
my patron. Yeah, well, towards the end, she didn't quite know who I was, but she laughed at me, and that's why they liked me to go around, because she knew there was a familiarity. And I spoke to her about the Falklands and the veterans. She loves the soldiers and the troops and veterans, so that's what I'd speak about, not about politics. What do I know?
But you weren't
A lot
allowed
of people say, what does she know?
Yeah. Well, especially up here.
Well, up here, yeah, I can understand. I met the guy the other night who's doing the show. You know, Margaret Thatcher, the cabaret artist.
Right.
I think he drags up a bit, and I wished him all the best. And he said, "What do you think she would think?" I think she'd be very flattered, you know, to be remembered. Even, you know, I'm quite flattered that someone's written Tory on my poster.
Could be
You
a
could have
lot
wrote UKIP.
Could be a lot worse things they could have written.
Yeah. Yes, of course.
Indeed.
Same amount of letters.
So what's the future after the Fringe? Is it going to lead on to something else for you?
Yeah, 54-date tour.
50 only.
Yeah, I've got a
That'll
DVD
please
coming
the
out at
bank
Christmas
manager.
of this show. Yeah, well, it should do. It might pay off some debts from last year, which was wrong.
Did that cost you money as well? The court case.
Yeah, loads.
Right, okay.
Well, it wasn't a court case. It was. Well,
Well,
actually,
you're
we
right.
did the court case before we went to court, so it cost a fortune. And plus, you know, the pantomime got cancelled. Big Brother was cancelled, although I eventually did it. But some people couldn't wait to say, "Oh, great, we don't have to play him now." You know, the ones that scribbled Tory on their
Yes.
own posters of
Indeed.
me, you know, outside their theatres.
Would you say you're in a better place now than what you were
Oh,
before?
yeah,
Yeah,
I am, yeah.
It's
You know, I was in a horrible place before, and it makes you look at life differently. But it also makes you very wary. You don't know what's around the corner.
yeah. And
That
every
does.
day's slightly different now.
Yeah.
More special?
I don't like being accused of something I haven't done anymore.
Right.
If someone, like Michelle, my wife who's here, she said, you left that milk out. I said, I didn't, and I can prove it,
Right.
you know.
So
Bit like
temperance
that.
has gone down a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Well, listen, good luck with the show, mate.
Thank you, pal.
It's been an absolute pleasure. No further action is
Yes.
on at the Assembly Hall
Yeah, the Assembly Hall on the Mount.
on the Mound.
At
What time?
9:15
Till?
till 2:45 in the morning. It's only on for an hour, so they've only got to have me for an
Okay.
hour. And it's great. It's only a 250-seater, and they're loving it.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Jim.